Wait, wait, wait,
Oh, hold on, hold on,
wait,
hold on,
wait,
hold on. Hold on, who the fuck this is?
What?
Who am I? I'm Jayla. Who are
What?
you?
Jayla.
V, I did not see her on the sheet. If 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay. What the fuck is this? I didn't see her.
Hello, my name is Jayla. I haven't been here in a while, but this is my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I want to read in October, specifically the ones that are spooky themed or like spooky, hopefully. I don't actually know if all of these are considered horror or thrillers, but I'm hoping to be scared by all of them and to be put in the Halloween mood. Before we begin, we should definitely address my absence. I have been busy, but also not that busy that I disappeared for this long, but also I moved to a new city and I was kind of enjoying just being here, and I don't know, I was just so caught up in everything that I just haven't been feeling very booktubey lately, and so I'm hopefully starting to get back into that. I felt the need to just put on makeup and talk about the books that I want to read this month, so I think that's a good sign. But we'll see. I definitely have some promises I have not yet kept, but as you can see, I have a bookshelf behind me, and that will be toured soon. This might not be the order and organization that I keep these in, so maybe I'll do a reorganization video, but as for right now, this is kind of the setup. Don't look too closely, because maybe I'll like put them in another video, but this is currently my life. Maybe I'll give you an apartment tour, things like that. So I definitely have things I could be filming right now. I just have been lazy and uninspired to do them. But inspire me. If you want to see more content from me, leave a like on this video, comment down below, tell me what you want to see, because I'm feeling good, I want to film it, so let's do this thing. I also spent way too much money on this camera to not use it for booktube anymore, so like, I'm not planning to quit, and quitting is not an option because this camera, and because of my wonderful friends that I've met through this that I don't want to lose, because then I'll become irrelevant. Nice. Anyway, we need to get into the video. Okay, so a lot of these I don't actually own. I recently got Scribd. This is not sponsored by Scribd. I wish Scribd sponsor me. Like, let's make this happen. But I've been using it a lot more now because my friend Christine from the Roomies Digest, she kind of put me onto it. And at first I was like, I can't just listen to audiobooks, like this is not my thing. I need to have the physical book with me. But I've been listening solely a lot more now because I'm so busy and reading has been so hard to squeeze time in for. So I've been just doing a lot of audiobooks lately. All that to say, I went on a horror, suspense, thriller kind of deep dive recently, just trying to figure out what I could read because I've been feeling very, very in the spooky mood. One of them was a book called Brother by Ania Alborn, and the reason I want to read this book is because it reminds me of a fan fiction I read a long, long time ago. It's called, I don't remember what it's called actually. Should I look it up right now and figure it out? Or should I not expose myself? Okay, so I'm never gonna find that fanfiction without running out of storage in my camera, so I will see if I can find it later. But basically, this fanfiction was about this and I don't want to spoil it in case you do care enough to go read it for yourself, so I'll try to be vague. But basically, Katniss like used to live in this really small kind of town, like where she lives in District 12, and she left there a long time ago, and she's coming back for the first time. I think like she's coming back to see her family, or like someone died, something like that. She's coming back home for the first time in a very long time, and she ends up running into Peta at this like diner on the way there, and they start hanging out. And then like they just remember each other from the past. They hung out in the past because they're both in the same town, and so he's kind of like the welcome committee for her because it just happens to be there when she shows up. And it's like, can I say anything else than that? I can't say anything else than that. Basically, they start hanging out. She goes like to visit his house and stuff like that. It's a very, very dark, a very dark fan fiction, and like his family is a little messed up, and so, I mean, more messed up than the canon messed up Millark family, because you know his mother is abusive and stuff like that. But anyway, all that to say, it's very dark, and this book reminded me of that. So let me tell you what the book Brother by Ania Alborn is about, since this is not about my Hunger Games fanfiction addiction. Okay, so I'll just read the synopsis for this one. It says, deep in the heart of Appalachia stands a crooked farmhouse miles from any road. The Moros keep to themselves, and it served them well so far. When girls go missing off the side of the highway, the cops don't knock on their door, which is a good thing, seeing what's buried in the Moros' backyard. But 19-year-old Michael Morrow isn't like the rest of his family. He's more of a Peta, well, anyway, he doesn't take pleasure in the screams that echo through the trees. Michael pines for normalcy, and he's sure that someday he'll see that in the world beyond West Virginia. When he meets Alice, a pretty girl working at a record shop in the small nearby town of Dahlia, he's immediately smitten. For a moment, he nearly forgets about the monster he's become, but his brother, Rebel, is all too eager to remind Michael of his place. So, it's like kind of like the fanfiction, but it's also a little different. Otherwise, that would just be plagiarism, I'm sure. But anyway, I don't know what inspiration was taken for that fanfiction or whatever. I don't know when these correlate. I think the fanfiction came out before this book, to be honest. Anyways, all that to say, this reminded me of a fanfiction I really, really enjoyed that's really, really messed up. And I'm sure this is going to be really, really messed up, so I'm excited to read it. Another book that I want to read is Tomi by Junji Ito. This would be my second Junji Ito read, and the first one I was not a huge fan of. I read the first book I read by him a whole year ago now. I did it in October for like the last days of October because I was like, oh wow, I've really not read that much this month. I should go do a 24-hour readathon, which I might just well do again because I really enjoyed that one and I enjoyed filming it and I enjoyed editing it. So maybe I'll do another one of those for October this year. But all that to say, if you want to see my thoughts about that other Junji Ito read, it was not very good to me. I read Geo, I'm not sure how you say it. It was about this like these fish that start having legs and attacking, and they don't even attack. Do they attack? They do attack. I don't remember. My point is, I wasn't a fan. I felt like it was super long, and I just wanted it to be over. And so this one is even longer than that, but it's also not about stinky fish walkers. So I'm hoping that I don't hate it as much. I didn't hate the other one, but I really gave it like 2 stars because I just was not feeling it. This one's got a girl, and it looks like This sounds actually really good. This is about a girl named Tomi. She's like a femme fatale, and she's good at seducing any man, she's good at seducing men. I don't know why I said that weird. And then she can drive them to murder as well, even though the victim is often Tomi herself, which, interesting, sounds like a problem. We're gonna see if Junji Ito will be redeemed in my eyes, because right now I'm not too sure, but I do want to read more of his work, so I can't base it all off of one book. Back to audiobooks that I'm going to listen to, but also I'm probably going to go see if I can find some of these at the bookstore because I really, I do read solely audio sometimes, but I really just prefer having that physical book in my hand. But another one that I want to read is The Last Final Girl by Stephen Graham Jones. You might know his breakout book, which was The Only Good Indians, which came out last year. I really want to read more Stephen Graham Jones, and so I want to read, this is like a short fiction, it's only 5 hours long, which is promising for a busy girl like me. This is described as Quentin Tarantino's take on The Cabin in the Woods, and I do love The Cabin in the Woods, and this is supposed to be really bloody and absurd and smart, as it says in the description, so I'm so excited to read this. I love The Cabin in the Woods, the film. It's so fun and subversive, and I just think, I don't know, it was just a really good time watching it. Stephen Graham Jones is a phenomenal writer, and I just can't wait to see how he kind of takes these tropes and subverts them, or maybe just expands on them in some way that I would never think of. So this is another one that I really want to get to. And side note to that, I would like to read Final Girl Support Group if I can this month by Grady Hendrix, and just tagging that on because they have very similar names, The Last Final Girl Support Group. So I would love to pick that up too, but I probably won't. And also, if I'm going to read any Grady Hendrix this month, I do plan to read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires first, because I have not read any Grady Hendrix yet, and I really need to get to some. This is about a Southern book club who suspects vampires are infiltrating their neighborhood. That's kind of all I know about it, so that might not even be an accurate synopsis. But I do know that this is a very smart horror story, or if it can be considered horror. That's what I don't know. Are these horror stories? Is it just kind of like a comedic light fantasy? I don't really know. I know that it's supposed to talk some about racial tension, white neighborhoods, outsiders coming into those neighborhoods. But I'm just very excited for the commentary that's within this book as well. So that's another one that I want to get to this month. I forgot that my phone was hooked up to my speaker, and that scared me a little bit. Okay, this is Faux by Ian Reid. This is like a 5-hour audiobook, so I'm excited to have another short read. I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid last October. Also a part of my 24-hour readathon for Halloween, and I really, really enjoyed it. That was one that I both listened to and physically read. And I was so glad that I did them simultaneously because The way they did the audiobook was so good, but you really need to see what kind of the way the text moves on the page with the physical book. And I think that they did the transitions within the audio so well, and like, I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't have understood the book if I didn't listen to the audiobook. That might just mean that I'm dumb, but I feel like I would not have gotten what was really happening at the end if I didn't hear the shift. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm excited to read another, or listen to another audiobook from Ian Reid, and this one is supposed to be a psychological mind bender, and it's about this couple that lives kind of like in an isolated area, I think. One day a stranger comes and knocks on their door and is like, yo, boyfriend or whoever, I don't know, his name is Junior, so we're gonna call him Junior. Junior, you gotta go somewhere else. And he's been selected to go somewhere far away from the farm. That's all it says, very far away. And they have made arrangements for someone else to come stay with the girlfriend. It just says Henrietta will have company, very familiar company. So we don't really know who the familiar company is. I'm gonna suspect a clone, because it sounds like it would be a clone, familiar company, but I have no idea what it is, who it is, how this is supposed to work, where is Junior going, why are they taking him away, why this couple, like what's going on here. So I'm excited to read this one as well. I have way too many books on this list. I don't know who I think I am, because I don't even read that much anymore. Like, I'm trying to get back into it, but September was the first time I picked up a book in like 2 months. Because I didn't read for most of the summer. It was really sad. Another audiobook I want to read is The Deep by Nick Cutter. This is the same guy who wrote The Troop, which I really liked, which is about like this group of boys and their scoutmaster who go in on an abandoned, it's not abandoned, like an isolated island, and they're supposed to be having a camping trip. And then weird stuff starts happening when this other guy shows up on the island, and it's gross and it's creepy and it's kind of effed up, I will say. So I really enjoyed listening to that audiobook. Sometimes I didn't enjoy it because there was some stuff happening that I did not love. You can see here. But yeah, so I'm really excited to read more Nick Cutter, because I think he's really good at telling horror stories, but with really complex, like deep characters that you just can't help but get really invested in. This one's a little more complicated to explain, but I will try my best. It's about this plague that starts to decimate the population, and it's called the Gits, and it's like, it makes you, I'm guessing that's short for forget, which would make sense. It causes people to forget first simple things like where their keys are, but then other things like how to drive or the letters of the alphabet, and so it like slowly just like consumes you, I guess, until you forget everything and you just like your body forgets how to function, which is terrifying. And there is no cure, but someone finds out about this possible cure called ambrosia that's been discovered and is at the bottom of the ocean. And so a group of scientists, like a team, goes down together to figure out if they can achieve a cure for humanity. Naturally, this is going to be terrifying because there's a plague, there's the bottom of the ocean, which the ocean is terrifying in case you didn't know. And there's isolated people going down into the ocean that we are not meant to be in because we literally cannot survive down there. There is one thing about the synopsis that really rubs me the wrong way, and I don't care if you think I'm being nitpicky about it. I just think there's a better way to phrase things that's not so aggressively anti-black. But it says here, and perhaps to encounter an evil blacker than anything one could possibly imagine. Like, why blacker? Why not worse? I get lightless depths, I understand it, but maybe just say darker also, which still kind of has a negative connotation if you read too closely into it, but I would prefer that than blacker. I'm gonna get off my soapbox about this, but I'm just like, come on, we can do better. Another science fiction thriller that I feel like this list is insanely long and I'm not going to get through most of these books, but hopefully Scribd will help me out. Another sci-fi thriller that I want to read is Parasite by Mira Grant. This one actually reminds me of The Troop because there were parasites in it. And I also read another book recently called Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, which is like a short horror fiction. It's like, I wouldn't say it's really horror, but it has horror, like, atmosphere. What am I trying to say? It has horror aspects, gore, darkness, you know, those things. And so that one was weird, and it has a warning for like tapeworm gore because of some stuff that happens in it. And I'm just reading a lot of stuff about people with things inside of them that are getting messed up because of the things inside of them. And I'm not sure that I should read this after being so vulnerable with reading. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. But honestly, that book wasn't even that bad. Like, I wouldn't say it was scary or anything. I just don't like the idea of worms being inside of me. So I think that's a natural thing that most people would agree with. Ah, it's literally a tapeworm. Why am I doing this to myself? What is wrong with me? Anyway, this is about a future in which humanity is thriving, kind of like the Scythe situation where everyone is healthy and nobody's dying because we've got a tapeworm inside of us that just kills off all disease, apparently, is how that works. It's a genetically engineered tapeworm developed by the pioneering Symbogen Corporation. I'm sorry, I just choked on my words there. But the tapeworm protects from illness, boosts our immune systems, and even secretes designer drugs. I assume that means for recreational fun time use. It says, years on, almost every human being has a Symbogen tapeworm living within them, but these parasites are getting restless. They want their own lives and will do anything to get them. You know what that means, right? I'm not gonna have to explain it to you. It means that things are gonna happen that I don't like. Okay, this is the last one, and I know I'm not gonna read all these books this month, but a girl can dream, and a girl wants to be scared. So let me have this, okay? So this one is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, and this is a horror that surrounds this family that, like, they get this news that their 14-year-old daughter has developed schizophrenia, and they end up requesting a priest help because he assumes that she's possessed. And so then somehow a film crew gets involved and they kind of track the entire possession to exorcism process. I don't know why I'm having a trouble documenting. They were documenting everything that happened with this girl. The family agrees to do this documentary show thing because the medical bills for their daughter are stacking up, and so they want some money. And then apparently the events that happen in the household lead to tragedy, and the show and the shocking incidents it captures become the stuff of urban legend. I'm ready for it, and if I don't get to it in October, so be it, but I will get to it at some point. So that's everything that I want to read in the month of October that's horror, scary related. I am very aware of how white and how male this list is, so if you have any horror recommendations for people who were not those things, that would be great. Can we talk about how Leigh Bardugo has not released Ninth House 2, I'm confused. Where is the book, Leigh? I don't know how much longer you want me to wait for it. I do not understand what you could be possibly doing. I mean, other than writing the thing. I hope that you're past that stage, though. Who wrote that? Can I get... Damn it. I don't have connections at Flatiron. It's fine. So, but yeah, please let me know any recommendations you have for books that are preferably written by authors of color, because I just love what authors of color do with horror. I think that they're doing a very interesting thing with the genre that we haven't really seen, and I want more of that, please. Also, if you've read any of the books I did mention in this video, please let me know how you felt about them. No spoilers, but just tell me if you thought it was good or if I should definitely skip it. I'll probably not listen because I want to experience them for myself, but it'll be good to know going in what to expect. That's all for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. If you clicked on this, even though I haven't been around in like 17 years, I very much appreciate you sticking around. To people who have been asking about my whereabouts, I appreciate you. No, I'm not dead or like quitting. I've been uninspired, unmotivated is all. So I'm back now, and I'm hoping to be more consistent. I'm not going to promise any sort of schedule, but we will see. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, leave a comment. I will see you in another one soon. Goodbye.